Hello everyone and welcome to my very first YouTube video. My name is Elena Dos Santos and this is Eleni Loves Art. So today I'm gonna be painting a little Monstera plant, and my inspiration came from this painting that I made a while ago of a succulent, and I just really liked how it turned out, and I liked the vibes and the colors. It's pretty tropical. I know it's kind of late because we're almost getting into fall, but I just wanted to make a couple paintings similar to it just because I liked it so much. And I picked that to be my first painting because, it's pretty simple. It's got cute colors. It's a plant. So yeah. So I'm starting off by mixing some colors. I'm trying to do the background yellow, like a golden yellow orange type of thing. So I'm starting with just straight yellow and mixing in some of that orange color in there. And I'm keeping the brush strokes. I kind of like how that looks as the background of the painting. So I'm just going around filling my page up with some yellow, some orange, touching it up how I like it. I wanted to keep a good balance of yellow and orange and also show some brush strokes in there. So I don't know if you guys could tell from the video, but I did keep that background layer pretty thin because I wanted to let it dry before I started drawing on it. I know a lot of people, or some people, draw before they put any paint on the page. I guess it's just personal preference, but for me, I feel like usually when I draw before I start painting, it just smudges the pencil all over the paper, so I prefer to do my background first and then draw. So I started drawing my little Monstera plant, and I was so not ready for this video. I was recording on my phone, and it wasn't until I started drawing that I realized I can't look at my phone for a reference picture. So I literally just looked up Monstera plant on YouTube on my TV. And yeah, I used that like a thumbnail of a video as a reference for my Monstera plant. So I'm just drawing two little leaves. I wanted to keep it, again, simple. So I know Monstera plants are obviously big, but I just wanted to do a couple leaves to keep it simple. I did the stems first and the leaves, and now I'm drawing in the little iconic holes in the Monstera plant. I think these are such cool plants, and that's why I picked them as my first one, because they're just so cool to look at, and I think they're tropical. I don't know if they are tropical, but they look pretty tropical. So now I'm just picking out which colors I want to do for the rest of the painting. Obviously green for the plants, and I'm going to do a little outline because I felt like just the green leaves with the yellow background would be kind of boring, especially compared to that succulent plant. It had so many colors, and I love color. So I decided to do like an outline of blue and purple. So here I'm mixing the green, and I wanted to make it a little darker, so I googled how to do that, and you're supposed to add red into the green to make it darker because they're opposites, but I obviously added way too much. So I'm just mixing in a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow to try and get the right color, and I didn't like that one. It came out a little too muddy for me, so I started again and I started adding some blue instead. Just because that original green is very like lime green, so I thought adding blue to it would kind of neutralize it a little bit, and it did work. It still wasn't the green that I wanted. Monsteras are very like lush, kind of forest green, but I just couldn't get there, so I mixed a little bit of that first batch that I did into the next batch with some blue, and I liked how that turned out better, so that's what I stuck with. So I'm just filling in this leaf here, making sure not to color in those holes that I did. It was actually pretty hard to do, harder than I thought it was going to be, avoiding those little holes, because I mean, once you get green over that yellow, it's just not gonna work. At least not with the paints that I have. I think I use pretty cheap paints, to be honest. So Yeah, so I'm just gonna keep filling in around those little holes on the leaf, and this is where it kind of helps to switch up your paintbrush a little bit to get in some finer details. I don't remember if I did or not, but you'll probably see if I did. Um, yeah, so I just finished this whole leaf and the leaf behind and all the stems, and I went over one more time because as you can see the coverage wasn't that great, so I did go over everything a second time with that green just to make sure that it got full coverage and doesn't look all uh not good. Okay, so now that I have that base color in, I want to start putting in some details. So what I started doing was getting that green that I was using, and I'm adding some blue so I can darken it up again. And the reason I'm using blue and not the red like last time is because I just didn't like how that color came out. And like I said, since this original green is more like a lime green, it's got a lot of yellow in it, so I thought blue would work better to darken it into the tone that I want. So I added a bunch of blue in there, and I'm just doing this back leaf with that darker color, because if you think about perspective, the background tends to be darker and bluer than the foreground, and I don't want the leaves to mesh into each other, of course. I want you to be able to tell that that leaf is behind the front leaf. So we're going over the back leaf with this darker color. And if you can tell already, it's already making that front leaf pop. And yeah, now I'm gonna also use that same dark green to start adding some veins on the front leaf as well. Alright, so now that I got those details in that I wanted with that darker green, I'm moving around some of that dark green because I still want to keep some dark green, but I'm trying to make some really, really light green to do some highlights. So I just moved some of that around because I don't want to have to like guess and make that green tone again. So I'm using some of that same green I've been using so I can keep the same type of color, but I just added a bunch of yellow to make a highlight color, and I thought that was light enough, but clearly it wasn't, as you can tell. So I ended up adding a whole bunch more yellow to it later. But what I'm trying to do is add highlights on the parts of the leaf where I feel like would be raised, because that's what's going to catch the light more. And adding shadows and highlights to your paintings really, really helps. Even a simple painting like this, it just brings so much more depth and character into it. Adding some highlights and shadows into it, like that background leaf, and then adding these highlights here on the raised bumps. So if you just think about like a Monstera leaf, it's not totally flat, of course. It's got its round little parts, so these parts where you see me adding the highlights is where I imagine those round raised edges would be. So yeah, I added more yellow and that looks so much better. You can actually tell um, that something's going on there. And since I'm working with these thin layers of paint, I wasn't actually mixing my paint with too much water. Usually I do, but this time I wasn't. But it was still drying pretty quickly, so it was kind of hard to blend these colors together. So I tried doing a paper towel, and that didn't really work that well. So I just used my fingers to dab the paint a little bit before it dried, so that way I could blend the colors in, because I didn't want any harsh edges, especially for like highlights and stuff. It doesn't look right, so I just used my finger instead to dab that in and blend it in a little bit into the paper. And if you can see, I'm using that highlight color also to do the stem of the back leaf, just because it was blending into the leaf too much. So I wanted to bring it out a little bit, because it is, in front of the leaf, and stems are usually tend to be lighter as well. And I use that light color to do the veins on the back part of that leaf, because if you think about the veins on a leaf, in the top part it's indented, so it'll be darker, but on the back part it's actually popping out, so it would be lighter. So that's what I did. And then here I'm just trying to fix up some mistakes. I somehow got blue on my background, probably just wasn't paying attention. So I got some yellow and tried covering that up. Alright, so now I'm using this blue color and I'm going to start outlining my leaves. And this is just to bring more color into the painting. I mean, you could be done after doing these leaves, but I mean, it's not very interesting to me. I just like color. So I decided to go around and outline these leaves, starting with this blue color. I'm just going all the way around the leaves, and then I'm going to go back in and fill in the parts that were a little too light or not even. Alright, so I was really careful to stay as close to the edge as possible without going over the leaf, but I went all the way around with the blue, and so now I'm going to go in and do the same exact thing with the purple, trying to stay as close to that blue edge as possible, but without covering the blue edge, although the blue is darker than the purple, so it really wouldn't have been a big deal. But I just wanted to keep these lines pretty even. So yeah, I'm just going to go around this whole leaf again and again go back and touch up the lighter parts. And then after doing that, I'm going to go in with some green and get in right in between like the leaf and empty space of the outline, just so that there's no gaps in between, and just touching up some highlights and shadows as well.
As Abraham Lincoln or his I can't decide if I should do these color outlines inside the little leaves most unforgettable character. You know how I have these color outlines? I can't decide if I should do it in the leaves also.
I don't know.
I'm scared.
So that's Bob Ross.
Boop, 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 boop.
Oh, hello.
Dad?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm just like painting and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Dad, I can't decide if can you FaceTime right now?
No.
Oh, well, I'm painting something, and I did outlines on the outside, but I'm not sure if I should do outlines on the inside too.
I'm sure everything, whatever you do, is gonna be great.
Yeah, that's great and everything, but I was hoping you could. I was hoping you could tell me, like, some
Motivation?
advice.
Yeah, just follow your heart.
Yeah, but like. Oh my god.
So, yeah, that was me and my boyfriend goofing off. Oh god, I couldn't decide if I should do these same outlines inside the leaves or not, so he said to call Bob Ross, and yeah. Well, obviously I decided to do the outlines inside the leaves, and of course my phone completely died, but you get the picture. I just did the same thing I did on the outside on the inside. Started with blue and then purple. Then once I was done with that, I added some more highlights just to perfect and make sure that that front leaf really popped out from that back leaf. And honestly, I really like how this turned out. I think it's so cute. I'm really happy I went with the outlines with the different colors to make the green pop out from the yellow. I think I did a great job, and this was so easy and simple. So what do you guys think compared to the succulent plant? Are they the same vibe? I think they both definitely feel tropical. I mean, they got kind of different vibes, only because the succulent was an outline and stuff, but I'm so happy with this finished result. I'm trying to do a thumbs up here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content from me, just subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and lennylovesart.com. Have a wonderful day.